Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Humans in Space Challenge briefing session. My name is Betty, and I'm an investment manager from Boryung. I'm also here today with my colleagues Gina and Stella to share with you what the 2024 Humans in Space Challenge hold for you. Right? I hope you guys are all excited as well. So to briefly go over some of the key items to be discussed during the briefing session. So we'll first share with you about the Humans in Space Challenge, followed by the benefits offered to the applicants. We'll also go over the challenge topics and guide you through the application process and the entire timeline. There's also going to be a live Q&A session at the end of this session, so please feel free to send us your questions through the chat box throughout the session. So your question will only be visible to our team, so please feel comfortable or feel free to send your questions away. All right. So before we officially share with you about the 2024 Humans in Space Challenge, wanted to take the time to share with you some key highlights from last year's challenge so that in order for us to provide with you an overview or an image of what the Humans in Space Challenge is. So I hope you guys enjoy.
We moved from care in space to humans in space. Our mission and our vision is having more people up in space and allowing them and providing infrastructures.
I was thrilled to be invited back for a second year, seeing companies and ideas begin to think about how humans can thrive in space, not just survive in space.
When I look at these innovation concepts and these contests, it's not an idea that we've had and grown in the space community. These are ideas that are coming from outside the space community, and that's really exciting to me.
We are trying to highlight and deliver the key core message about Humans in Space program, which is those extraordinary pioneers ask questions in a different way. That's how we began Here in Space Challenge last year. And look, now we are with one of the most greatest prominent space events in the world.
The most rewarding part of being an evaluator for this challenge was seeing the broad range of interdisciplinary approaches that are being taken to address human health in space.
Well, I feel that the 2023 Humans in Space Challenge is an absolute critical step in our exploration of space. I really feel that we are going to have humans in space that are going to be needed to colonize the moon and eventually Mars. And I believe that much of our experience that we've developed on Earth we can apply that to space. And also, similarly, what we learned from space, we can also bring back down here to apply it back to Earth.
Throughout the challenge, we've been introduced to a much larger ecosystem, both research-oriented people and commercial-oriented people who all share many of the same goals and problems that we do.
So we've had a really great experience so far. So we've been able to meet clients, partners, and more importantly, we've been able to understand better what the space environment challenges are and how we can best fulfill the needs of a space as a market.
Apollo 13 was definitely a huge
Boryung has brought together a great group of evaluators and a great group of scientists. I've been meeting really incredible people. We've been trying to establish collaborations so that we can actually make our own work a little better as well.
So I think Humans in Space is laying the foundational layer for that future space economy when everybody's thinking about launch and components and hardware and propulsion. At the end of the day, without the humans, there is no space.
I think, the biggest impact for our team was learning about, all the interesting, developments and research that's happening out there to support humans in space so that we, can better learn and better iterate through our products and how we can support them and the researchers.
We have to understand how people can live in those environments, how a very diverse population can travel outside of the Earth's boundaries, how we can grow real food in space.
future and going forward. Thank you for having us here, and we love your partnership and looking forward to it.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed a recap of last year's challenge. So basically, actually the video shows last year's challenge's final pitch at one of the largest space conferences in the US called Ascend. So the finalists had the chance to pitch in person to a group of really prestigious pool of judges and evaluators and interact with our partners in person. They also had the chance to demonstrate their product in the Humans in Space booth at the center of the venue. So we're also excited for what's going to happen this year because last year we received an overwhelming application across 33 different countries. And as mentioned, these teams had the chance to interact with this prestigious pool of judges and pitch in person at one of the biggest conferences. So now that we have a general understanding of last year's challenge, we're really excited to share with you our plans for this year. So as you may already all know, Humans in Space is a global space healthcare challenge that calls for both startups and researchers who are tackling critical health problems in space and on Earth. So we are looking for innovative ideas that respond to critical or inevitable healthcare issues faced by astronauts during deep space exploration, and also those that solve critical health problems on Earth by utilizing the microgravity environment. And to briefly go over with you some of the key items or key milestones that are happening within the challenge. So first, there's of course going to be a call for application for both startups and researchers from all over the country, all over the world. And they're going to be evaluated by the Humans in Space Challenge experts and judges who are leading individuals, not just from the space sector, but including like healthcare and commercial sector as well. And the selected teams will be given the opportunity to attend or access the Humans in Space Tailored Accelerator Program and mentorship. After then, they're provided access or opportunity to further advance their idea through networking and collaboration with, of course, including ground experiment facility providers and other partners and investors. So later on, we'll share with you some of the key partners that we're working with today, with this year. And then lastly, the selected awardees will be receiving the Humans in Space investment and get connected with this year a platform or implementation partner to really test your idea or launch your ideas into orbit. So I guess the next part is about the award for the award that the awardees will or the finalists could access through the Humans in Space Challenge. And what's really special about this year is the new orbital launch funding. So to provide you an overview of how the challenge awards are structured, the award is structured in two main different tracks. The first track is the equity investment track, which is for startups who have initial idea or initial intention to expand in space. And once they are selected, they will be awarded with $50,000 of equity investment. For track two, it's awarded to both startups and researchers who have a more comprehensive plan and intention to test their ideas or validate or even demonstrate their technology in orbit. And they will be provided with up to $250,000 of orbital launch funding or investment. For orbital launch funding, there are two tracks under it, which comes in either a loan or a grant or investment with IP sharing. Aside from monetary investments, the awardees will be provided access to, of course, the Humans in Space Accelerator Program, where you can interact with a wide array of partners who could also potentially be your collaborators or clients in the future. And you're also going to be provided with potential opportunity to test your ideas in zero gravity flight. And there are other really a lot other like networking opportunities in person and virtual that could be accessed. And to support that, I'm really excited to share with you a very comprehensive structure of the humans in space ecosystem. And honestly, I think this is the first time that an organization has formed a full value chain of ecosystem that allows the development of ideas to advancement of these ideas through accelerator program and mentorship to actually implementing your idea in space. So as you can see, from idea development to idea advancement and really advancing them into the realm of space. So your entry to the Humans in Space Challenge will give you access to all of these parts or segments of these value chain. And these are some of the specific institutional partners and experts that we are working with. And you will also definitely have a chance to interact with when you apply to the challenge. So aside from, as you can see, aside from the industry recognition or reputation that these institutions have, the overall composition of the Humans in Space Partner and Expert list has a global coverage from the US, Europe, Middle East to Asia. And they're covering different sectors, which allows applicants, both startups and researchers, to really interact with individuals and institutions that they need at their point of idea development or even commercialization. And as I've mentioned, we believe this is actually the first time that this much comprehensive value chain has ever been formed in the realm of space healthcare. And we would really want all of the enthusiasts or innovators of space healthcare field to access our partners and opportunity to interact with them through the Humans in Space Challenge. Now, moving on to sharing with you about the challenge topic, but before that, I wanted to give a quick reminder that if you have any questions to us or for the application process or generally about humans in space, feel free to leave your question in the chat box function and we'll definitely answer them during the live Q&A session. All right. Now, to give you an overview of the Humans in Space Challenge topics, basically, we are tackling mainly two domains under the space healthcare realm. So the first domain is the critical problem in space, which tackles critical health challenges and risks for extended human presence in space. And for critical problem on Earth, we'd like to tackle some of the critical health problems on Earth, leveraging the space environment. And all of these topics have been formed in collaboration with NASA Human Research Program and ISS National Laboratory, and they're reflecting some of their key prioritized research and innovation areas. First, let's focus on the first domain, the critical problem in space. So under the first domain, we have first the human health risks and countermeasures. Under that, we are tackling biological response, which covers some of the key effects of space environment on human body system. That includes like immunology, neurology, musculoskeletal, and all of the following listed below. And under this section, we're looking for like researchers or innovators that prevent, monitor, or mitigate these risks. The second subsection is the space medicine section, which includes evidence-based approaches that support the response to medical conditions such as the clinical decision support and like pharmacology and medication system. We do have a very detailed explanation and some examples of the challenge topics in our application guideline, which is also posted in our Humans in Space website. So even after the session, we highly encourage you to visit our website and read the application guideline for more detailed information. Moving on to the second subsection of the first domain, we're tackling human performance-related risks and countermeasures, so which basically covers advancements that support the performance and life quality of astronauts during deep space exploration, and that includes risks or problems related to environment and food, and also the performance quality or crew activity of astronauts. So under crew activity, that also includes like EVA and team coordination as well. The second domain now covers the critical problem on Earth, which is again critical health problems on Earth that needs solutions beyond gravity. And under this domain, we are covering both the research and development and manufacturing area. And under research, the topics that are covered includes like molecular or cellular changes, or observing and testing molecular and cellular changes in microgravity environment, and also like modeling some disease and diagnostics. As for development and manufacturing, it covers some of the high value production, healthcare or biomedical production that could take place in the microgravity environment, which of course includes crystal growth, biotechnology testing, and even regenerative medicine manufacturing. So as you can see, the Humans in Space Challenge really covers a wide array of topics under space healthcare that is not only relevant for astronaut space exploration, but also for human life on Earth. And we really invite and encourage all of researchers and startups who are working on these problems to apply to our challenge and really access all the opportunities presented by the program. The next part is going to be about the application process, and I'm going to toss the mic to my colleague to go over the application process and also the general timeline for this year's challenge.
Hello all, my name is Gina, and I will shortly guide you about the application process and the HIS challenge timeline. About the application process, this is just a big overview of the process, so you might get the overall understanding, but I strongly also recommend you to read more sophisticately in our application guide, which you can download in our website. First, prior to initiating the application process, you should check the applicant requirements. Check whether you can apply as an equity investment or an orbital launch funding. For your quick understanding, if you are a startup, you can apply to both tracks, an equity investment and an orbital launch funding. So you have to choose the one by your preference. If you're a researcher, you can only apply to the orbital launch funding track. Two tracks require some different materials for the application, so you should check the details. Next, check the HIS topic for your applications. The information is on our website, and you can check the description and the details in the application guide. As you check the topic details, you can choose singular or multiple topics within the fit of your project. Third, once you check the applicant requirements and HIS topic, click the Apply Now button on the Humans in Space website. This will lead you to the external link for the online application. For notice, additional files to submit, equity investment requires a pitch deck, and an orbital launch funding requires attachment for our form in our application guideline. I will tell details about this in the next slide. Lastly, make sure you submit the application after you finish to fill out the form. The selected applicants will be noticed of their advancement to the next stage via email, which you had entered in the application form. That's it for the application process, and as I mentioned, I will just tell you about the details of the additional file to submit, especially in the orbital launch funding. Orbital launch funding requires an attachment form questioning about the in-space experiment background, plan, and relevant thesis. Applicants are required to answer all the mandatory questions. You have to download this form, and this is available in our application guide and can also submit this file in our application link. Hope everyone doesn't miss the details. Next is I will briefly share about the HIS challenge timeline. The call opened on May 1st and it will be closed on June 20th. First round announcement will be done at the end of August, and the virtual pitch event will be held. Based on this virtual pitch event, the second round winner will be announced, and this will all work out within September. The final pitch event will be held in the IAC, which is one of the biggest space conference that will be run in Milan, Italy this year. The final winners of HIS challenge will be announced in October. So after the announcement, the awardees will attend the HIS Accelerator program starting from November. This was all about the HIS challenge timeline, and please stay tuned as I hand it over to Betty, who will proceed the open Q&A session. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gina, for providing with us an overview of the application process and the overall timeline. Just a final reminder that application is open until June 27th ET time. So we highly encourage all applicants to submit their application as soon as possible. And also, you'll be able to find a list of all the questions that we ask in the application form and the attachment for orbital launch funding applicant that Gina has just mentioned in the application form, so that you are able to better understand how much time and what kind of information that you would need to include in the form beforehand. So again, we really highly encourage you to visit our website and read the application guideline for more detailed information. Right, now moving on to the live Q&A session, we're sharing with you some of the answers to the frequently asked questions on the screen. And while we're doing that, we're going to read some of the questions that are coming in from the applicants. So I'll read the question and answer them simultaneously. So the first question asks about, does the business have to have a prototype to apply? If so, what constitutes an acceptable prototype for a SaaS business? So for startup applicants, it's a requirement to have a working prototype to apply. As for SaaS, a software program would suffice. The second question is, are projects related to biological responses ground-based using simulated microgravity or on orbit? Will a ground-based project be responsive to this call? So for the orbital launch funding, the plan should have an actual in-orbit experiment to be eligible. So you may have on-ground experiment as a part of your experiment, the entire experiment plan, but eventually the funding has to be used for in-orbit experiment. So I hope that answers your question. So how is IP protected? For IP protection, for the orbital, I believe this is more on the orbital launch funding. From the funding, the inventor or the owner of the intellectual property will have full rights to the property, and we will not get any rights to technologies or will not request any share on the technology or ownership of technology from the funding. So a more detailed description of some of the conditions that apply to orbital launch funding is also in the application guideline. So yeah. I hope that we answered your question. And the next question is regarding about the role of advisory board in the judging process. So the advisory board will be a part of the evaluation process in selecting the of course, the semifinalist, finalist, and awardee. But there's going to be there may be a task force meeting in between to better consolidate the comments of the advisory board during the evaluation process. The next question is regarding the social media assets that could be used to promote HIS 2024. Yes, definitely. We would greatly appreciate your help in promoting the Humans in Space Challenge to relevant stakeholders. We do have a LinkedIn account where you can see all of our social media assets that include like description to the Humans in Space Challenge, the topics, and the awards provided. We also have a flyer that has a summary of the challenge. So we will definitely share with you these materials and of course, and including our social media handles via email after the session. But thank you really for asking. All right. The next question is regarding the orbital launch funding. Who pays for testing ready for flight certification and the launch to orbit? And what is the platform, ISS or private space station? So the orbital launch funding that we are providing of up to $250,000 will be used to launch your ideas into orbit. So who pays would be, so you will be utilizing the funding to pay for these costs. And for the platform, we do, the applicant is free to choose between ISS or private space station, wherever they would like to put their experiment in. And they also have the flexibility to choose which implementation or platform partners that they would like to work with within the list of the Humans in Space partners. The next question is how many projects will be funded? So just like the previous years, we do not have a set number of projects at the moment, like a set number of awardees that we will choose. But it really depends on the type of diversity of ideas and the quality of applications or competitiveness of the applications that come in. But just to give you some reference, during the first year, we awarded 6 startups. Last year, we awarded 7 startups and 5 research teams with research funding. So I hope that gives some kind of a rough range or reference. Right. That was the last question on the list, but I'm just going to wait in case there are like additional questions that you may have. All right. Okay, the question is regarding the prototype. What is the bare minimum of functionality that the prototype needs to have? Does a visual demonstration suffice? So we require the startup applicants to have a working prototype. It does not mean that you need to have all the functions that you promise in the prototype, but there should be some functions integrated aside from just a hardware device. And again, to add, if it's a software program, you do not need a hardware. Just a functional software would also suffice as well. All right. How much is the total funding money per year, and how many will be funded for research orbital launch? Does it need a collaboration with HRP investigator? As for the total funding and the number of awardees for orbital launch, we do not have a specific number of awardees set at the beginning. It really depends on the competitiveness of the applications that come in. Like, for example, in the first year, we chose 6 startup teams. Last year, we awarded 7 startup teams and 5 research teams. So there's a very variance in the number of awardees that we choose each year. And regarding the second question, does it need a collaboration with HRP investigator? No, you do not need a collaboration with HRP investigator. The next question is, once funding is awarded, how long is the project depending upon the type of award? For equity investment, there's no set duration because the investment is not really for not for like achieving a certain milestone or experiment. For orbital launch funding, we do require that the experiment be ready for orbital launch in 18 months after awarding. So for the and going on to the next question regarding the final presentation, the applicants are responsible for the fees required to to participate in person for the final pitch at IAC. Right. I believe this is going to be the last question for the session. So does the program consider startup applicants who are in SBIR or STTR partnerships? Yes, definitely. We highly encourage you to apply. Startups with working prototype from all over different countries are eligible to apply. All right. I guess that was the last question for today's session. But in case you have unsolved questions, please feel free to email us, and our team will get back to you as soon as possible. And literally any questions about the challenge or the application process, or if you need any assistance in applying, please feel free to let us know. And before we end the session, I'm going to toss the mic to Stella to share with you some of the key last reminders and ways in which you can contact our team.
Hi everyone, this is Stella, and I'm a communications manager here at Borean. And I'm happy to assist you how to reach out and stay updated with Humans in Space. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them over to humansinspace@borean.com and visit our website, www.humansinspaceofficial.com, to learn more about Humans in Space Challenge and our initiative. Furthermore, we encourage you to follow our social handles, including LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, to remain up to date on our news and events. Now I'll pass on to Batty to wrap up our session today.
All right, thank you very much, Stella. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I know it's quite late in some of the regions out there, but we really appreciate you joining today's session and really getting to know more about what's installed for this year's challenge. And once again, you may be able to find more detailed explanation to all the 2 different tracks of investments that are provided in the application guideline, alongside key information that is being requested in the application form. Lastly, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us at humansinspace@borean.com, and our team will really get back to you as soon as possible. And then after the session, we'll be also sharing with you a recorded version of today's session alongside other materials like flyers and visuals that you can help use to promote the Humans in Space Challenge. Again, thank you very much for your time, and we really look forward to seeing you at the challenge. Have a great rest of the day.